he ain't coming back anytime soon.
Well, you didn't say he was definitely coming back. You think it's more likely going to be Tommy John, and he's probably going to be done.
The way that it's looking, they're saying very bad arm injury. There's news about that. We'll
until showtime.
definitely dive into that because it's interesting. Some people are the so I mean we're live on Twitch, but I could say this. We'll pretty much what we're going into, so you know. The Major League Players the Players Association are saying that it's the pitch clock that is causing these injuries.
Didn't I say that in the beginning?
But I don't think it is. I don't think it is because DeGrom got hurt without the pitch clock.
Yes, he did. He pitched
No,
in the beginning of 2023.
But he got hurt before that. The pitch clock wasn't implemented when he was first hurt.
But I understand that, but
But you can't blame it on the pitch clock when these guys are gearing back trying to throw 100 miles an hour when they're gripping the ball the way they are.
What I'm just saying is, like, his arm might have been hurting
until showtime.
But what could have happened is the pitch clock could have exacerbated the arm injury, but because he's trying to rush, hence causing the arm to go quicker than it did. Because had there been no pitch clock, it may not have happened until August or something.
The problem is, and we'll dive into this more. The problem is the fact that you're getting these pitchers and hitters too, blaming the hitters too, that are taking fucking 2 minutes per at bat.
And you know what? I just find it ironic that all these a lot of pitchers have gone out. I've noticed a lot more pitchers have been going out with arm injuries or shoulder injuries. The older pitchers, not so much the younger pitchers. Spencer Strider
until showtime
didn't have to go through a pitch clock in the minor leagues. I don't think.
No.
But I just find it weird that he comes up and then all of a sudden, you know, this pitch clock hurts his arm. DeGrom gets hurt. Verlander gets hurt. Scherzer gets hurt. There's other pitchers that I can't think of off the top of my head that I've. There's the guy from Milwaukee who is out for the year, Woodruff. He had the arm issue because of the pitch clock, because he pitched in the beginning of last year too, and he got hurt. So I mean, it just seems too coincidental.
The problem is you're blaming one thing and not seeing the bigger picture.
Well, no, this is just my opinion.
But I'll say the bigger. Here's the thing. I'll say the biggest component of all this.
1 minute until showtime.
When we start. Because there's a thing that no one's talking about, and everyone's blaming the pitch clock when it's not the pitch clock's fault.
Oh, and Julio Teheran got they signed him, and then they designated him already.
Yeah, and Urias is for charges of misdemeanors.
Yeah, well, his career is probably done.
Oh,
anyway.
He's someone that's going to get blackballed. Did you watch that video I sent you?
No, I haven't really sat down and watched it.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance.
Because that's interesting. Him saying flat out that managers have been telling Bauer that they would sign him in a heartbeat, but yet no owner will sit down with him. Managers are saying in the dugouts that they would sign him in a heartbeat, but yet no owner will sit down and even talk to him. I'm like, that sounds like collusion.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4.
We'll continue
3,
later.
Yep.
2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
A
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Betting Window on the Nerd Porn Network. I'm your host, F. and Ronnie, and with me, as always,
The Zombie Master, and you sound like you're far away.
no, I'm right on top. I mean, unless fucking Skype decided to be a douchebag, which that could totally be the situation because I had to fix all the settings, apparently.
You still sound like you're in the room, but you're
Yeah,
not. Right
don't. Again, just say, keep going. It's just you don't want to.
There you go. You sound a little clearer now.
Jesus Christ! All right, yes, yeah, because Skype decided to wipe out my settings.
But I am the Zombie Master, and yes, and the story is finished finally with Cody Rhodes. Congratulations, Cody.
Bullshit. Story's not even halfway over yet.
But the Roman Reigns version of it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, yes, like we said, welcome to another episode of The Betting Window, where we dive into good, the bad, and the what the fuck was that in the wide world of sports and sports betting. On tonight's show, we talk back into baseball, talk the tail end of college basketball is officially over. We start looking towards the NFL draft as well as the Masters strike off tomorrow. I'll be giving some bets for stuff like that, just for the fun of it. But yeah, again, it's as much as a blindness as a solar eclipse by Angel Hernandez.
That batter was out. Hernandez is he's just a fucking moron. But everybody keeps telling me, oh, nobody can do anything in baseball. What is Commissioner Buttfuck doing? Does he not see the fact that this man is a complete fuck up and a screw up? They have to fire. This has to be a reason to fire him. He's incompetent. If you're in your job, you do what you do. If you did your job half-assed, would they keep you around?
No.
Any job, you do a half-assed job, or you just do a job where you just mail it in, are they going to keep you around? No. This man has been able to keep a job for how many years when it's documented on videotape? Players, owners, managers, fans, higher-ups in the MLB all say this guy is a fuck-up. But yet, Manfred's like, well, we can't do anything because he'll sue us. Yeah, well, double jeopardy, bitch. He can't go after you anymore. Fire his ass. Get him out of here. He's worthless.
It makes no sense of what he's doing.
He's a fuck up. Just call it what it is. He's an absolute positive fuck up. There's no dancing around it. You blow, I mean, for those listening, if you don't know what we're talking about, the other day the Yankees and the Marlins were playing. I believe it was at Yankee Stadium, correct?
Yeah, it was Tuesday. It was yesterday.
So
it was yesterday or it was Monday, one of the two.
Monday, no, because today's Wednesday. I think it was Monday this happened. Sunday or Monday, I forget. But
it wasn't Sunday because I don't think this is not the last game against the Marlins. I think tomorrow is for them.
Okay, then it was Monday. Okay, so the pitch was, I forget the pitcher's name. He basically stepped off the rubber, quick pitched a Yankee hitter, and Angel called a strike. Batter was out. The ball was 2 inches above the strike zone.
It was at his letters.
It was just about at it. It was
letters,
maybe a little higher than.
Well, letters is. I was gonna say letter high is above the strike zone, so it was just people giving where it was a ball at his letters.
Exactly. I mean, it was clearly a ball. You could see it. I mean, the pitch track showed it was clearly a ball. And Angel Hernandez called the hitter out, and the batter's like, he stepped off. The man Boone comes out. He stepped off, and Angel is like, oh.
Now, he wasn't the field manager at the time. The first baseman was. I don't know. Was that call overturned?
No.
Okay, if you're the field manager, you should be fired.
Well, it's like the ball, the call wasn't overturned. They all met, but they didn't overturn. As far as I know, you might have to do a little research on this. As far as I know, it was never overturned.
Okay, Well, if it was the end of the inning or something like that, then it never was overturned.
I think it was the third out.
Yeah.
If
So
memory serves correctly. But the fact of the matter is, and anybody who's been listening for a while knows my hatred for this man. He's just, there is no call for baseball to keep this man around. He has proven time in, time out, and I even said it on the show, and Christian can reiterate, and Ronnie, you can reiterate it too. There was one game against the Yankees and the Red Sox a couple of years ago. Angel Hernandez was at first base. 5 times his plays got overturned because he called the wrong thing. Once he was out, he was ruled safe. Once he ruled safe, he was ruled out. And the situation just kept continuing. 5 times his plays were reviewed. He looked directly at the camera, shaking his head like, why they keep reviewing me? Because you're a fuck-up, schmuck. That's why. You are putting... I swear to God, if I'm a manager of a team and I look at the umpire list and Angel Hernandez is anywhere on that field, I'm manager, I'm like, oh, fuck, we're screwed tonight. And that goes for both sides. It's not like he favors one team. He fucks up everybody.
well, then here's my question, and this is another topic we could talk about. This is, when do we bring in instant replay for pitching?
They won't do that and I'll give you 2 reasons why. It's because then then they talk about the whole robotic ump thing. Plus, that's going to add more time to the game, which we all know Commissioner Buttfuck doesn't want to. He wants to shorten this game to like maybe 5 seconds. I'm waiting for him to institute a rule going, okay, everybody gets 1 pitch.
Have you ever seen the instant replay idea for Major League Baseball?
I've glanced at it. I've not read it verbatim.
It does not add any time. It legitimately does not add any time. Hell, I watch tennis matches that will use the exact same software as what baseball balls and strikes would use, and I shit you not, it adds, if it's adding anything, it adds maybe 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's literally, oh, you think that's a ball? Tap the helmet, goes to the review, overturned, or it's a strike. Done. That's it. Same with the catcher. Taps the helmet, goes back, challenge, ball and strike. And then it shows it up there what it is. It's not a robo ump because everything's there. And you only get, say, like I think they said, it's in the minor leagues. I think they only get like 3 challenges.
But, well, I understand that. And you're right. I've heard that rule before. I think the Patriots had that because I think when I was at a Patriots game, I saw a hitter tap the helmet or a catcher tap the helmet, and the pitch was checked on. But the whole bottom line is that would require Manfred to actually make another rule, and he doesn't want to institute any more rules because he's already gotten brutalized in a lot of rules.
Yeah,
that
but
he's implemented.
This is a rule that everybody would agree on.
Yes, so since everybody would agree on it, he's not going to do it because he wants to say this is a rule that nobody can argue. Because this is going to make this, because if they implement this and he's proven wrong on a lot of stuff,
then you'll hold him accountable.
Then he's going to be like, well, he'll find some way to weasel out of it. Because Manfred's another fuck up. And 2029 can't come soon enough because then that's when that man is stepping down as commissioner. And it couldn't come at a better time. And I'm hoping they go old school and bring in a guy that's actually an older gentleman that is a more of a classic baseball person.
I don't mind the way baseball is now. The problem is that okay, I understand they want to make the game shorter. That I understand that. But on the same hand, you can't, to add more offense, that's great, but the pitch clock and the instant replay does hurt this game. Yes, it does hurt. But it's not, the game is not hurting itself with popularity. Game is thriving right now with popularity.
Oh, I know it is. Look, I'm not saying the game isn't popular, because it is. But what I'm saying is that, and like I said, I've got on record with the thing is like Manfred is in this is controlling baseball like it's a business. I know it is, but it is, but it isn't. If that makes any sense.
Well, okay, explain, because it is a business.
I know it's a business, but what it is like we're trying to be, like you try to be fair, but it's like the way he approaches it is like he's saying, "Oh, the fans want this, the fans want this, the fans want this, the fans want this." I don't recall ever seeing a fan come up to a commissioner or somebody in Major League and go, baseball's too slow. Do something about that. I have never in my life seen an interview, written or video-wise, in my opinion, that I've never seen someone say, baseball's too slow, speed it up.
Oh, I've seen plenty of kids lose interest.
You see, there's your right there. Kids nowadays have the attention span of a gnat. They don't have the attention span of, and that's because of they're either walking around or they got their nose in a phone. Most of the time, I've watched videos where he was in Arizona. The camera flashed on these 5 young ladies sitting in the crowd.
Yeah, this one's always been talked about. I've heard this. I've known the story. I know
right. The story is that for anybody new listening, it's like these 5 girls they kept the camera on them for about 5 minutes, which in a 5-minute period, not one of them lifted their head. They had their nose glued to their fucking phones. They're at a ball game. If you want to you want to spend that kind of money, because they had pretty good seats from what I remember. They were on the field level. It's not like they were in the nosebleeds. It's not like they couldn't see the game. And they had their eyes glued to the phone. This, to me, this is who Manfred's speeding the game up for? That's bullshit.
But again, the era when I grew up with baseball, guess what? My era of baseball had to do with a needle in its arm, John, remember? Because in 94, baseball was dead.
Was it dead?
It was dead. The strike killed baseball.
The strike killed baseball because the simple reason is because at the time, the players were asking, and the owners, they were both asking for ridiculous things. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't, because both the players and the owners at the time in 94 were asking for the world, and they weren't going to get the fucking world. Neither one of them were going to get the fucking world.
And here's the thing. I wasn't I loved baseball growing up. When baseball went away, I went to football. I went to basketball with Jordan. I didn't care that baseball left. I didn't get back into baseball. Granted, I was playing. That's a different issue. But, I didn't care until 97, 98, when Jeter and the Yankees, even as a Met fan, Jeter and the Yankees, and then McGwire Sosa. When it got back to its popularity, where then from 98 to 2002 was the steroid home run era with A-Rod, Bonds, and McGwire and Sosa.
You're right, and I look, I'm not discounting what you're saying, but I'm saying I hate to use my age, but for people of my age, your late 40s, early 50s, they remember when baseball was played like a chess game. It took however long it took, and there was no rush on it. But then games like that, you had extra inning games that lasted a long time and stuff like that. But that was, all right, you got two good teams here duking it out. This was before they put a guy on second base.
I
You know,
I agree that rule is stupid. At least
but
at least let them play. If you are going to do that, at least let them play 2-3 innings.
but the whole point I'm trying to make is this: it's like you play the game like, and I keep referring to it as a chess match because that's the God's honest truth. It was played like a chess match because it's like, okay, which team is going to break first? It's like I keep going back to that one game where it was the Braves and the Mets that went to like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, the 18-inning game.
The Rick Camp home run game. I mean, for God's sakes, a pitcher who batted a whopping 83. And the announcer at the time was John Sterling, if memory serves correctly.
Yep, that sounds about right.
I think it was John Sterling, and this game was played in 84, 85. This is when Sterling worked for the Braves.
Yeah.
Sterling's like, oh, if he hits a home run. And he almost like he predicted it. And the next thing you know, Camp's driving a ball over the left field wall. How often do you see that? And it's like, and I got to give the Braves credit. That was fireworks night. They still shot off fireworks at 4:30 in the morning when the game was over. I give them credit for that. But, see, those are the games, and why I remember that is because it was memorable. It's because they didn't have to put a guy on second base. They didn't have a pitch clock. They didn't have you can't call a timeout at home plate. You get one, and that's it. You can't throw more than 5 balls over to first base, or you got to move to second. All these rules are bullshit, in my opinion.
But
let me finish it. This is my last thing I'm going to say. Basically, all these rules, I still love baseball. My heart's still always going to be with baseball. It's like you have football. Baseball's always was in my blood and always will be. But in my opinion, Manfred has, in essence, ruined baseball for me a little bit. I was at 100%. I'm about 85 to 90%. I'll never be 100% as long as Manfred's in charge and as long as some of these rules are continuing to be in place. The bigger bases, I could care less. It really, you know what? I thought it was going to be a problem. To be quite honest, I haven't noticed a difference.
I've noticed a huge difference in steals.
I mean, it steals, yeah, I understand that, but the bases for themselves don't look like they say, they were going to look like pizza boxes. They don't look like pizza boxes.
No, I think...
You guys, some of these people were getting a little overzealous.
Again, you're listening to freaking Twitter.
No, we're not listening to Twitter. I'm just listening. This was when I was listening to MLB Network. They were talking about this and stuff like that. They're like, I think Harold Reynolds said, he joked around. He goes, they're like pizza boxes. And somebody ran with that. And then hence the memes were born.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the basis thing, I could care less about that rule. That increased steals, great. That's a little more, because steals have been down the last couple of years. I get that. That's fine. But the whole, you get one timeout as you're a batter, and then that's it. You can only, it's like you're turning this into a joke, in my opinion. But I said that was my last thing on it. I know how you feel about it. I wish somebody would call in or talk about it, but.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do this right now. So let's go from. So the last rule change recently was 2023. Obviously, there's some rule changes this year, but that's not what I have right now. The biggest rules changes probably was 88, and then nothing happened until 2008.
Okay.
By the way, 88, the rule change was catchers need to wear protective helmets.
Gee, there's fucking brain surgeons for them. because I remember, and because unfortunately, because we just lost a Met the other day, Jerry Grody, a longtime Met, one of the original Mets from '62 or '3, I believe. Passed away at 81 or 91. I forget what his exact age was. He used to catch. I've seen pictures of him. He used to catch with just his regular ball cap, turned backwards, and just a face mask in front. That's hard school. That's hardcore.
So, all right. So here we go. I'll even go all the way back up to because they have rules that were all the way.
To Jerry Grody. That's all.
So I have the rule changes all the way back from 1857. So you'll laugh at this. The original rule change. The game used to end after the inning in whatever team scored 21 runs.
Mercy rule, in other words.
No. It was a reach. There was no 9 innings. It was the first team. Reached 21 was the game.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well,
and
you know what it is.
But you got to remember, too, this was also like back when they had a pitcher's box. They had no gloves.
Well, no, they had gloves, but it was just basically like work gloves.
Yeah. So, all right, here we go.
It wasn't like the big, fat gloves that we have today.
Yeah, so, all right, so here we go. I'll go from 78. Pitcher cannot throw at the batter. That was a rule change.
Duh.
Catchers must wear, in 88, the rule change was catchers must wear protective helmets on defense.
Again, duh.
Right. Now, there is no new rule change until 2008, where MLB added limits on home run calls, fair or foul, instant replays to affect all games starting September 1st.
Okay.
Which was the playoff run.
Okay.
Then there wasn't another rule attempt until 2014. Manfred didn't get in until 2019?
I don't remember when. I'll look up when did he start. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
So 2008, MLB. I already said that. 2014, runners attempting to score may not deviate from direct path to the plate in order to intently connect with the catcher. The Buster Posey rule.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing. January of 2015 is when he took over.
Okay, so the last one before he took over was the Buster Posey rule. Okay, as of right now, that's we understand that. You have to at least make the attempt to slide within the base pass. You can't run the catcher over.
I agree with that rule, but I also disagree with that rule. I understand it's to be, they want to protect catchers from getting seriously injured. I get that.
Well, Posey literally, his career was over after that play.
True, but here's my thing when it comes to that whole rule. I remember slides. I remember a slide back in, God, showing my age as hell here.
Oh, the Pete Rose slide.
Oh, well. No, but I'm talking not the Pete Rose Buddy Harrelson slide. That happened in '73, but that I didn't see that live because I was 3 fucking years old. But I'm talking about it was 85 or 86. It was a Mets Pirates game. I remember because it was on the highlight reel. It used to be on the Mets intro when they were on Channel 9 back when, if you can remember that far back.
Well, I mean, shit. They're technically still on 9 PIX.
But they were actually on. They called it WOR Channel 9.
Oh God, WOR. I've heard of WOR.
That's how far this goes back. But I don't remember the name of the pirate player. But I do remember it was Gary Carter. The pirate player basically put a shoulder block into Carter. They both practically did a full flip. And Carter still held on to the ball and threw the guy out at second. That's hardcore. I hate to say it, but some people nowadays, I hate to say it, and you may agree or disagree, it's like a lot of players now are almost pussified. because when they played back in the older days, if you want to say it that way, you barreled into the second baseman to break up a different thing. You went spikes up. You barreled into the catcher.
But you want to know what the problem with that was? And this is where, and this
I
is...
mean, am I wrong? Do you remember when
Oh,
those
no.
used to happen?
I mean, I remember that, but you want to know what the biggest problem with that was? Is that then you get the youth players, and I'm not even talking about minor leagues. I'm talking about high school and not even college. College, high school, little league. They're emulating or imitating what they're seeing in the game. And the problem is even when I was as much as when I played almost every position, I was a catcher, I was a pitcher, I was a third baseman, second baseman. I was a utility player.
I only played three positions when I played, but I'll explain that when we're done.
Was taught to always stay like I always played the plate like I did at third. I straddled home and took one step forward.
Okay.
So if anyone decided, because the rule was you had to slide into home plate.
Okay.
I am not blocking home. So if you hit me, we have a problem. It's interference on the runner.
Okay.
But the minute I caught that ball, I am stepping foot perm planted, one knee down, ready for you to come in. No one had no one had the balls to throw a shoulder. That's a different issue. But that's the way the game was. That's the way kids should have been taught to play. You straddle the base or have one step behind the base. And then when you get the ball, you step in front of the plate and block the plate. There's no interference, but the problem is you get all these people that are looking at like they imitate Pete Rose. They look at the Buster Posey rule where they try to throw a shoulder down. And in high school, it was getting to the point where kids were getting hurt. And the Buster Posey thing is what put it over the edge. Because Buster Posey was the star for the Giants at the time. I was about to say 49ers. For the Giants at the time, and he broke his leg in 3 places, and pretty much that was the end of his career. I mean, he still played, but that was it. Like, he was never the same player.
No, look, I get it, and like you said, you played in a different era than I played in when I played Little League. When I played Little League, I pitched, I played right field, and I played third base. Now, the mentality of when you played was vastly different from the decade that I played in. I played in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Well, I played in the steroid era.
But here's the difference, and you can tell the decade, the coach from how they taught to play then as opposed to when you were doing it. Now, here was the thing. When I was at third base, I didn't play a lot of third. I played maybe, if we played 15 games that season, I think I played third base 2 or 3 times. But I remember the third base coach, if a ball was hit to the third or to the second baseman and they threw the ball to third to get the lead runner out at third, the coach was saying, break it up. Anyway, break it up anyway. That's what I would always hear. And it didn't make sense to me until I got a lot older. In other words, they're saying break it up any way you can. Dive, slide, hit, do whatever you could. And the same thing would go for the catcher. I can't tell you how many times I would see guys barreling into the catcher so the catcher would drop the ball so they could score. I've seen it. And you know what? Did kids get hurt? Yeah, they got hurt. But then the whole thing, rub some dirt on it, get back out there.
Here's the thing. There's a difference.
And the majority of them did.
But there's also a difference in, again, era of getting hit and being hurt and getting hit and being injured. And I'll even go back to the pros. Buster Posey didn't get hurt. He got injured to the point where his season was over.
I get that.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's why they changed the rule. And I understand, but at the same time too, it's discretion advised. If the ball is in away from the base up the line and a guy runs right into the catcher, that's not anyone's fault but the fucking cutoff man that didn't throw the ball into the spot.
No, you're right. But now the big thing is like the runners have to be given a lane. And I understand that rule to a point. But basically, that's almost like saying, oh, if you got the ball, you got to let them, they have to slide.
What's funny is as a lane, they never describe what a lane is. If you take one step either in front of the plate or behind the plate, like if you're like angling like you would at third, take one step back, there's a lane. You're not stopping them, but guess what? The minute you catch that ball, it's fair game. You can move in front of the base path.
Right, but you know what it is? And here's the thing, too, when you're talking about Little League. I saw a clip. I don't know how many years ago it was because it's been around a while. You may or may not have seen it. And it had to do with Little League parents and stuff. I think that was the majority of why this clip went somewhat viral. It was a kid was running home. The catcher caught it and basically tagged the kid out on his head. And basically took the ball and basically his glove and the ball and hit the kid in the head.
I know, I saw it.
You saw that play, right?
Yep.
And the parent, you hear a parent go, was that necessary? And they go, I tagged him on his head.
Well, parents also need to know how to fucking shut their mouths.
I understand, but you know what it is? That kid tagging the kid out on this thing, you tag him on his leg or shoulder. You don't basically punch him in the head with the ball, because essentially that's what it looked like.
And that's where a parent needs to stop it. Hello, Christian.
Hello, Christian.
Hello, friends.
What's going on?
We're just talking about baseball, how the rules have changed and stuff.
So all right, so we're at 2014 right now, and now we're getting into anything that's happened here is Manfred.
But fuck, get it right.
So 2016 slides on potential double plays require the base runner to make a bona fide attempt to reach or remain on the base. So pretty much you cannot, like the old school way where they would be 3 feet out of the baseline, they can't do that anymore. That's fine. I'm good with that.
I got one name to throw at you: Chase fucking Utley.
Oh,
period.
But I'm saying that rule, commissioner's right on that. As long as that hand can get to the base, it's legal. But if you're 3 feet out of the baseline, no, that's obstruction. That's a double play.
But you know what? Thankfully, the Mets won that playoff series. But that game, that play could have very well. Christy, do you remember that play?
What play?
Did you chase Utley when he broke Tejada's leg?
No, I don't.
Well, if you go to YouTube after the show and you can look it up. Basically, Chase Utley was past second base. Then he slid.
Was that 2013?
No, that was 2015.
Okay, so this
that
rule.
Was the year the Mets were in the World Series.
Okay, so this rule came. So this rule came before that.
Right. Basically, Utley slid past second base once he was already past. His body.
This rule led to that. Led to this rule.
Basically, his upper body and his head would have second base would have been almost like a pillow to Utley before he slid. Mm-hmm. Slid into Tejada, spikes up, and broke Tejada's leg.
Yeah, it was a dirty slide.
It was the dirtiest fucking slide I've ever seen in my life.
It was a dirty slide.
Wow.
And the fact that the umpires ruled it a fair enough slide and Utley was able to come back in the game because they called him out. The umpire called him out.
Mm-hmm.
But then they reviewed it, and he was allowed to come back in the game and go back to second base. And the Mets were friggin' hot I mean, thankfully it didn't cost them. Because if that had cost them the World Series, there would have been a lot of controversy over that. Unfortunately, the Mets beat the Dodgers in that series, and there was no. And then they threw behind Utley the next year, and Syndergaard got thrown out. But, and that guy's still a free agent, so go figure that one out.
All right.
But,
Now
but
20.
no, that was the whole thing. But that was the whole point. Is like, it was a disgusting slide. It was absolutely pitiful.
So now 2017, we get into no more intentional walks. This is the four fingers.
That rule I could care less.
Yeah,
about.
right. Now we get into, now remember, take this with a grain of salt, whatever we have here, because now we get into COVID. Pitchers, this is also the pitchers must face three batters. Must face three batters appearance or pitch to the end of the half inning. That hasn't really, that's fine. That's what it is now. It's fine. COVID-19 shortened season. What are you going to do about that? Extra inning rules, ghost man on second. That was stupid. That should have went away. 7-inning doubleheader. It was COVID. What are you going to do? Postseason extended to 16 teams. Again, COVID. What are you going to do? Universal DH, which is now officially a part of everything.
Oh, before I forget, Christian, I sent you a link to that slide. I want you to check that slide out while we're talking, so you can see what we're talking about.
What, you sent it on Facebook?
I sent it on Facebook.
All right, hold on. Let me see.
2022, the draft lottery to discourage tanking, which I don't mind that. That's a fair rule. Postseason jumps up to 12 teams. From 16, the DH gets DH goes to National League. The base increased from 15 to 18 inches, and the defensive band shift is banned.
Okay. But you know what? The shift being banned, that needed to go away because that was ruining the game in a lot of ways, I think.
So, I'm just saying, as of right now, there's nothing on this list that he's really done bad.
Oh.
So, all right. So you see the slide now. You see where he started his slide?
Oh.
So, for those listening, I just sent Christian a link to the Chase Utley Ruben Tejada slide. So, Christian, now seeing your fresh eyes on this. You're a baseball fan. Was that or was that not a dirty slide?
Oh, that was dirty as fuck.
It's been a dirt. We've all knew.
But he never saw it. He never got to see it. This is his first time seeing it.
No, I was gonna say you've seen it. You just don't remember it.
I just don't remember it.
Because it's the Mets and the Phillies. It's not the Yankees.
No, it was the Mets and the Dodgers. It was the Dodger at this point because this was the playoffs.
I stand by what I said. It's not the Yankees.
But no, but your opinion, that was that was a filthy slide, and that's why the slide rule was. Look, if you were back in the older days when you broke it up, you rolled into the guy so he would have to jump over you or he'd fall over. He went in spikes up past the base.
Yeah, well, we all know that's a.
And you know what? Tejada's career never rebounded from that. His career was essentially over after that play. He never came back. I mean, he came back.
No, it's the same thing.
He never played in the major leagues again. I mean, he did, but it was like he played maybe about 10 games.
It's the same thing with Utley.
No, with
Posey. All right.
You said pussy.
Well, then 2023, he added the pitch clock, and pitchers are allowed the step off to the plate without penalty. So, okay, so I can give you 3 things right now that he implemented that gave him, that were bad. That's bad. He's not really killed the game.
He hasn't killed the game, but he's definitely.
I don't see.
In a way.
I don't see where though. I mean, okay, the pitch clock, the disengagement, and the oh god, the Ghost Man on second are the only 3 issues I have. Everything else, it's there. I mean, most of the stuff that he did was COVID related, unfortunately. And his hands are tied with that.
Right.
So I don't think he's killed the game. I think he's trying to update the game for these kids that, like we said, that have an attention span of have a TikTok attention span. 10-second intervals. And again, I stand by it. When me and Christian were growing up, baseball was dead in the early 90s.
No, when you were growing up, because you're one of the old fucks of the show.
I'm not Chris. But
Look,
no, Christian, tell me I'm wrong.
listen,
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. I'm just trolling you.
In 98, baseball was dead in 94, and the only reason baseball got back to any type of popularity was because of a needle in someone's arm.
Mm-hmm.
That was, what was the tagline? Chicks dig the long ball.
Mm-hmm.
They made their thing around that because that was the way to do it. Now you have to make the game not exactly shorter, but you almost have to make it like how football is, where every play in football is 15 to 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 15, 20 seconds, reset. 15, 20 seconds, reset. He's trying to almost make baseball the same way where it's 15, 20-second intervals, reset. And everything is there, but it's just... I get what he's trying to do, and trust me, baseball is... I hate saying it, but baseball is dying because the old guard, and I'm not even saying you, I'm saying older than you, actually, the old guard is gatekeeping baseball. They're not allowing it to change because you're getting the 60, 70-year-olds saying, oh, well, it's not my game. Well, it's not meant for them anymore. It's not even meant for me and Christian anymore. It's meant for my nieces and nephews. It's meant for the kids that are just coming up through high school. It's meant for them. It's now to get them to go to games, you might have to shorten the game a little. You might have to, God forbid, I'm not saying add a fucking mercy rule. That's God forbid, that's stupid. But you're getting your money's worth for what it is, and you're trying to get these ballparks packed. I mean, shit. Look at Oakland. Oakland had literally their opening weekend had less than 2,000 paid attendance. Not people in stands, paid attendance.
Yeah, that's crazy.
More people were fucking outside the stadium than they were inside the stadium. I think that's... I get what they're doing. And by the way, the good thing is you look at places like Baltimore, hell, even the Yankees, the kids coming up right now, they're going to bleed more life into this fucking game. I mean, fuck, Jackson Holiday is going to fucking be a superstar, and he just got called up.
Yeah, I saw that he just got called up, and the kid's going to be as long as he doesn't.
Christian, I'm sorry.
He's going to be Jackson Holiday got called up by Baltimore today,
and he already has an RBI.
That's cute. Tell me who's in first place in the AL East.
I understand that, but this dude's going to be the Orioles right now. Oh God, dude, that fucking lineup is terrifying too. So is the Yankees.
Okay. That's adorable. Tell me who's in first place in the AL East right now.
Yeah, tell me you're going to keep that pace up all year.
You see how he just doesn't answer my question, John?
The
I'm
Yankees
asking
are
again.
the Yankees are 10-2. They're about to be 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, Ronnie, but here's the thing. When it comes to something like, and you guys have always busted my balls on it, it's a 162 game season. Can the Yankees keep it up?
No,
Nobody knows.
they're not gonna keep up 10-2 pace every 12 games.
Okay.
That's
I'm
near
not saying-
impossible. No, not you, Christian. That's near impossible. You're gonna
Yeah,
have
it
a
is.
you're gonna have a swoon where they're gonna go 3-7 out of a 10-game split.
Yeah, I mean that's expected to happen.
Yeah.
It's a long year.
But I'm saying you're not gonna keep up within 10 games. You're not gonna have them go 8-2 all year. That if they do, God, that's the greatest fucking team ever to play.
And it can be done, and it has been done. Does Christian? You remember? I don't remember what year it was. What was the year the Mariners went like with 100 something wins?
100
In 2001,
was it 100?
They had what? I had 108.
they
or
had
109.
no. They set the record. They broke the record we set
Yeah.
because they won 116 games. It was actually 2000 because we beat them in the ALCS. That's when we played the Mets in the World Series.
Yeah, that was
Correct.
Yeah.
So I mean, Ronnie, I understand your argument, but Christian's argument is it can never happen. It has happened, and I'm not talking about 20, 30, 40 years before that. It happened in the 2000s. It can happen. I'm not saying it's. Look, I'm not defending the Yankees, and I'm not disbanding what you said. Can it happen? Yeah. Will it happen? Nobody knows. Just like my with the Mets. Do I think they're gonna fuck up? More than likely, because they can't get their pitching state. Their pitching staff is never gonna get right, and that's gonna cost them more games than it's gonna cost them anything. When you don't have a starting five rotation that's steady, and you keep, they've already called 3 or 4 guys up already, and it's only the first week and a half. You know, you sign a pitcher one day and you release him the next day because he only went 2 innings. Can the Mets keep up this pace? Nobody knows because it's only the second week.
Right. Like, but I even like I said, I'm even gonna say, like, I do not think you're not gonna get the Yankees are not gonna have a 10-2 record every 12 games. Like the Mets are not gonna be going 4-7. Or 7-4, 4-7. Like you're gonna have your ups, you're gonna have your winning streaks, you're gonna have your peaks, you're gonna have your valleys.
But unfortunately, I think the Mets are going to have more valleys than peaks, and I think the Yankees are going to have more peaks than valleys.
Like that's the thing. It's still a long year, and we all understand this.
And the reason I'll say that is because the Yankees lineup is built tremendously different than the Mets lineup.
Actually, what's hilarious is people are bitching that they just put Volpe in the leadoff spot.
That's good sound baseball. The kid proved he could lead off. He could lead off a game. He proved it. Why not give him the shot? It's his to fuck up. You know, it's his to fuck up. And Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like if you got a guy that you know that's going to get on base 8 out of 10 times, you're going to keep that guy at leadoff. You're not going to.
Yeah, I prefer him at leadoff, and I prefer Glaber a little further down in the lineup because Glaber doesn't come off to me as a leadoff guy, you know. But I get why Boone did it, but now he sees that, you know, I think Volpe's better. Like order of Volpe, Soto, and Judge 1, 2, 3. That's scary.
That's exactly.
And Giancarlo at 4. And if he stays around, you put Rizzo at 5, and then you bring up Spencer Jones and.
Spencer Jones is not going to be up this year. He'll be up.
Yeah, he'll be up. He'll be up this year. He'll be up.
He's what? He's in Somerset right now.
He'll be up this year.
Yeah, he's going to be up this year, but he's not going to be up until August or September.
All-Star game. All-Star. I bet you see him at the All-Star game.
That's still rushing him too fast, because they did that with Volpe, and it almost didn't work out with Volpe. But thankfully, it did. But they almost ruined Volpe, but thankfully it didn't happen. That's why the Mets have not rushed up the Acuñas, the Jet Williams, the Ryan Cliffords, the Drew Gilberts, because they're afraid if they rush them up, they're going to try to produce too much too fast. They're either A, going to get burned out, or B, the pitchers are going to own them, and then they're fucked. But I'm never going to become a full-blooded Yankee fan. And Christian, this is not a knock.
Christian just dropped off. I don't know what happened. So
he'll be back. He'll be back. I've always respected the Yankees. I've respected the Yankees because of their tradition, their lineage, and everything that, there's no discounting what they've done in this league. The 27 world titles?
Yeah.
27 world titles. You've had, they've had more numbers. I think they lead Major League Baseball in retired numbers. And rightfully so.
I think every single digit number is retired.
Yeah, you got. I could even go through them, and I don't think I'll miss one. Billy Martin, number 1. Yeah. Derek Jeter, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Babe Ruth, number 3.
Lou Gehrig,
Lou Gehrig, 4. Joe DiMaggio, number 5.
Joe Torre, 6.
Mickey Mantle, 7.
Yeah.
8 should be Yogi Berra and Bill Dickey, because there's 2 guys that got that number retired.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Bill Dickey and Yogi Berra, the only player in Monument Park to have number 8 retired twice. If you ever go to Monument Park, look it up. They have 2 number 8s.
And
9.
what's his name again?
Bill Dickey.
Okay.
And number 9 was Roger Maris.
Yeah.
So from a Met fan to know that's respect for the Yankees. The Yankees this year, their lineup is fucking frightening. If this isn't a murderer's row, a reinvention of the term murderer's row, I don't know what you got between Soto, Judge, Rizzo, Glass Carlo.
Yeah, he
Soto.
He actually just made history right now.
Did he just hit his 400th?
No, he just just became the first player to hit a home run against all 30 teams.
Huh! Yeah, he just did it against his old team.
He just did it against his old team. Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, who I really like on this year's Yankee team, guys?
Who's that?
Alex Verdugo.
How do you do?
You know what? He's impressed me.
You know what he is? You know who he reminds me a lot of?
Who's that?
He brings the same presence that Nick Swisher brought in 2009. Just that energy, happy-go-lucky guy. But the difference between Alex and Nick is, Alex has a little bit more swagger to me than Nick Swisher because he's a little bit more laid back. But he brings that dog that the Yankees have needed for years because, the Yankees have had a bunch of nice guys the last couple years.
Chris, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's not the player I thought you were going to say. In my eyes, you know who I think of when I think of Alex Verdugo. I think of another long time. I think of Brett Gardner.
Yeah.
Because of that hard-nosed, he's laid back, but he's also intense. He's not as intense as Brett Gardner was, because Brett Gardner had a fight with the helmet bench, and the helmet bench won, or the helmet rack won. Remember that? Because he slammed his helmet and the helmet came back and hit him in the face.
I just think the thing with Brett was a Yankees Yankee. You get what I'm saying by that?
I get it.
I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that. Remember that weekend in baseball where every jersey worn by a major leaguer had their nickname on the back?
Yep.
What are the Yankees traditionally known for?
Not having
their jerseys.
Not having anything on the back.
Gardner didn't want his nickname on the back. He goes, "Can I just get one with the number 11 on it like that? That'll be sufficient enough for me." And the one thing I always say about Brett Gardner was, he was that quote unquote leader after Derek retired. He
You're
was
right.
older. He was on that '09 team. I loved Brett Gardner. Like I really did. And yeah, it sucks the way he went out, but the way he went out kind of reminded me of Posada. Yeah, I don't want to play for anyone else. I mean, he was a Yankee through and through. And who knows? Down the road, who
Number
knows what's
11.
gonna happen with manager? I could see him becoming the Yankees manager.
Because you know what it is about Brett Gardner? And Brett Gardner to me is a throwback to. He was almost like a. I hate to use this expression, but he was. If he played the decade of the Mickey Mantles and the Roger Marises and stuff, he would have fit perfectly in with that type of player, because he was that type of player.
Mm-hmm.
He was that stubborn, old school, old player mentality. I hate to use that term, but he was an old school player in a young man's body, because that's the way
Yeah.
best way to describe
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I love Brett Gardner, and personally, I love him even more because I remember. I think you guys are gonna remember this game. Remember when they played the Cubs and he hit a home run to put the Yankees ahead, like late in the ninth inning. The Cubs were winning 2-0. This is the year after the Cubs won the World Series, right? And the Yankees offense couldn't get anything going, right? I mean, struggling left and right. Pineda, believe it or not, I'm going to say something good about him. He pitched his ass off in this game, but he just wasn't getting the run support. So I'm like, okay. They get two guys on. Gardner comes up, and Gardner hit a moonshot on the wavelength to give the Yankees the lead. And I was with two of my friends who were Cub fans, so of course, I got my Yankee shit on. I got the bucket hat on. It was cold as balls that day. And he just, oh my God. You know what, John, since you sent me one, I'm going to send you one.
Okay.
Because you're going to remember this, and you're going to be like, yep, I was watching this game.
Okay.
But, yeah, he hit a blast, and that put the Yankees up. And literally, you could hear a pin drop. Like, I had never heard Wrigley Field that quiet in all my years of going to baseball games there. And that right there just kind of shows you that the Yankees are never necessarily out of a game, right? All right, John, I just sent it.
On Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook.
All right, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
But no, I like Gardner. I really did. I never had a problem with him. Like, he was a fan favorite. He was gritty. I think he's the type of player that every locker room needs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm watching. He hit that home run. He's screaming as he's going around the plate.
Yeah, I was at that game.
I do remember this. I do remember this because I remember hearing the Cubs broadcast, and they're like, "Oh, and they were like basically downplaying it because of the fact of he was showing he what were the exact words they go? He was showboating too much.
No, he wasn't.
No, they're saying he was too flamboyant running around the bases.
And
he
then,
doesn't need to rub it in their nose.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, I went back, and the game was on Sunday Night Baseball, right?
Okay.
And that game went 18 innings.
Okay.
I was at that one too.
Wow.
Oh, God, oh boy.
What?
Hold on.
What's the matter?
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You know what? Fuck that. No, I hit the glitter sound. No. This is the one I wanted. No. What the hell? Well, that's a better one. Yeah. There.
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani's. This broke 5 minutes ago. His ex-translator negotiated a plea deal by pleading guilty.
Okay, and that means what?
Means we're gonna find out how he got hands on Otani's fucking bank account.
So is this good or bad for Otani?
Well, whatever the plea deal has to say is not good.
Well,
Um,
and if this comes out that he was,
again, here's the thing. So, negotiate plea. This broke 5 minutes ago. Former translator Shohei Otani has negotiated a plea deal to federal crimes stemming from allegations that he stole millions of dollars from Shohei Otani. Like you said, Shohei apparently sent over $4.5 million to a bookie that was for a gambling debt. But now the question is if he got a plea deal, well then, what is he going to say? And if Shohei did bet on sports, now I'm going to say this. People have to remember, the rule is, if he bet on sports other than baseball, it's a 1-year ban. If he bet on baseball, it's a lifetime ban. People have to remember that before this hits. If he bet on any other sports than baseball, it's only a 1-year ban, which means he just goes and rests his shoulder up for next year. All it means. But this is going to be interesting. This is something new. But all right, John, if you want to close up, we got one more baseball topic to talk about.
yeah, you could finish it out.
All right, well, let's move on then, and we're going to talk about the problems. Okay, so Major League Baseball, the Players Association have come out to go after Manfred about the pitch clock, saying the pitch clock is the reason for all this Tommy John surgery.
I just want to go on the record as Christian. Haven't I said this all along?
Said what?
About the pitch clock was causing all the arm injuries.
But I'm going to say this. I do not think it's the pitch clock that is causing these arm injuries. Now, over the weekend, Shane Bieber out for the year, Tommy John surgery.
I saw that.
Spencer Strider has a bad arm injury. Don't know what it is yet. And then DeGrom, obviously, shit like that. So we've had 16 reported Tommy John surgeries during the first 100 days of the calendar year so far. MLB has been 9. 9 Major League ball players for this year have had Tommy John surgery. Now, John, you're saying that you think it is the pitch clock.
Yep.
The last couple years, what has changed in pitching? That if you noticed, if maybe you haven't noticed, what has changed in pitching within the last since after COVID?
There's more fireballers in the league than there are finesse pitchers.
Okay. Now, what rule have they changed for fireballers that it actually hurt fireballers?
Speeding them up and making them ramp. They need to ramp things up quicker.
You're
You
missing.
asked my opinion.
I know, but you're missing the one thing that no one's talking about.
In
How?
my opinion, I think them ramping it up and making them throw quicker and faster, that means they're gonna ramp up easier. Is going to cause more stress on the elbow and the shoulder.
Hey, okay, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
What have they changed in the last 2 years or 3 years when it's come to pitching?
The pace of the game.
Okay, you're okay. Now I'm going to say it. How are they holding the ball?
Oh, that's what you mean.
They have
Are you
to.
talking about them holding onto the ball tighter?
Yep, which means they have to gear back, and it causes more stress on the back of your shoulder because you're gripping the ball down. So maybe, just maybe, the fact that there's no sticky stuff left on these balls, and they're brand new fucking dirty ass dry ball. Tyler Glasnow came out and says, you almost have to put a vice grip on these balls. I feel he feels it in his back shoulder every time he gears back the pitch because you can't do rosin and sunscreen anymore. So what happens if you were gripping and then trying to throw 100 miles an hour and then putting torque on your elbow when you're trying to throw an 80 mile an hour curveball? You tear your UCL. You pull something in your back. You pull something in your arm. You have to get surgery. Maybe the fact that we don't have the rev speed like we had back in the day with the gripping the baseball, these guys are gearing back and trying to huck 100 miles an hour every time. And I'll give you a great example on someone that used to do that. Jacob fucking deGrom. DeGrom, when he was averaging 92 to 96 miles an hour on his fastball, was he ever hurt?
Who are you talking about now?
DeGrom.
He's been hurt. I mean, he's had a bunch of arm issues.
When he was averaging on his fastball 94 to 96 miles an hour, was he ever hurt?
He had some mild shoulder strains here and there.
But was he ever out for the season?
No, not until he started ramping it up.
It had nothing to do with the pitch clock because he was ramping it up, throwing 100 miles an hour before the pitch clock was ever brought in. And that was the second Tommy John surgery he had. Then when the pitch clock all of a sudden comes back, oh, he's hurt again. No, it's because he's gearing back and trying to huck 101 mile an hour fastball. And then trying to throw a 96 mile or an 86 mile an hour slider that's literally tearing his shoulder out of socket.
Well, I get where you're coming from, but I'm just like I'm just gonna keep with my thing. Is like I definitely think it's got something to do with it. I just think that with Spencer Strider going out now, more than likely. Christian, I don't know if you heard that. Spencer Strider is more likely out for the year having Tommy John.
Oh, there's no rule that it's, no rumor that it's Tommy John. It's shoulder soreness. He's still getting opinions from a specialist. There's no word yet on Tommy John.
I mean, it's not definitive yet, but
he's on the 15-day DL.
But more than likely, from what you were telling me, Ronnie, that he's more likely he might be very well done for the year.
That's what it sounds like, but he's on, like I said, he's still getting stuff from specialists and stuff like that.
But if he goes out, I mean, here's a guy who threw 101, 102 miles an hour.
That is wearing his arm out.
Because,
Not,
again...
But his arm would be that with or without the pitch clock.
I mean, you and I, we could debate this until the cows come home. You feel the way you feel. I feel the way I feel. I'm not gonna change your mind. You're not gonna change my mind.
But here's the thing: Nolan Ryan said it the best. There's always been a pitch clock in Major League Baseball. When pitchers started messing with it, Manfred then comes in and says, okay, we need an actual pitch clock. Nolan Ryan said, there's a pitch clock between 12 and 15 seconds.
That's an internal pitch clock for
Yes.
pitchers.
But that's the thing. There's always been that implemented, because if you've noticed, after 15 seconds, the batter steps out. Usually, like back in the day when it was around there. It's always been an internal pitch clock. Manfred just decided to say, hey, we actually have to speed the game up, so we're actually going to have to implement an actual pitch clock. But there's always been one. And this also goes back to, I keep forgetting the game, but the freaking, playoff game that it took 5 pitches. They literally timed Altuve as a joke. They had Altuve doing an inside the park home run, and how many times he did it between one batter. He was able to score 7 times for one batter. Like I understood why they did it, because it was there. Now, do I agree with the fact that shortening it was a good idea? No. I think you should have had it maybe a little bit longer, fine, or keep it what it was. But the pitch clock, in all honesty, doesn't. It's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. Maybe if these guys learn actually how to throw a ball and not trying to fireball it and gear back and throw 96 or 101 miles an hour, maybe they wouldn't get Tommy John.
But you know what? That also, I'll tell you what exactly. I got a retort to that. This is what is taught to them probably in high school by their fathers, or by their high school pitching, or their little league or high school pitching coaches.
This is taught by their travel teams.
Well, it's taught by somebody involved in.
No, I'm saying like
development.
But I'm saying by 15 years old, they're taught this. Trust me, I know. I've seen it.
But you see, that in itself is, there's your answer, right there.
But it has.
There's your answer.
But does that have anything to do with them speeding up? Like they're gonna be on a pace anyway that way, but they're being taught at a young age to chuck 100 miles an hour, to have velocity, and it's like, no, that's why the game. That I'm sorry, it's not as much as it is, and you're not the only one that said this, but to them, it's not the pitch clock that's hurting these guys. Maybe more of an annoyance. But it's not the pitch clock hurting these guys. It's the fact that they're throwing 100 miles an hour and then turning around and throwing an 80-mile-an-hour curveball that's destroying their back.
A perfect example. There's a kid in the Mets minor league system, Christian Scott. He's pitched in a pitching performance, 9 innings, 19 strikeouts.
Yeah.
To throw that hard, to get that many strikeouts, I don't know if I've yet to see him really pitch a game, because he's been in AAA. I haven't seen him pitch too many games. The guy throws hard. This kid, if he keeps this pace up before the year's out, he's going to blow his arm out. They need to teach this kid to slow it down a little bit, maybe not throw as hard, because he's one of the Mets' future rotation guys. This guy could be, they're very comparing him to DeGrom. Not built like DeGrom, but they're saying he's DeGrom-esque. He keeps going the rate he's going with how hard he's throwing. He's going to have TJ before the year's out. Matthew Allen threw hard. Where's Matthew Allen now? Done.
Yeah. Like, there's a kid that was in college last year, Ben Joyce.
I remember hearing that name.
Clocked out, has the world record for fastest pitch ever. Would you like to guess how fast the pitch was?
108.
Nah, a little less than that. Christian, what do you think?
104.
Close. He was a little bit faster than Geraldus Chapman at 105.5.
Wow.
Chapman was 104.8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chapman had the record. Now, I'm sorry, if this kid tops out at 105, hell, even one pitch an inning, how much damage is that doing to his arm?
A tremendous amount, because he could start one game, and his career could start and finish in one day.
But that's
Essentially.
the thing. Like I said, as much as it is the pitch clock being an annoyance, I think there's more to this than just that. I think there's no kid, even at a young age, that is being taught, like, not just velocity, but they're not being taught how to hit their marks.
Well, you know what? In essence, this goes back to your short attention span kid. They want to see guys throwing fast, like as fast as they can and all that stuff, because that's just going to say, that's going to, by doing that, they're going to also speed up the game and stuff like that. And they're going to be like, oh, I want to emulate that. They need to start teaching these kids not to throw fire 99.9% of the time. That's what they need to stop doing. They go, you want to fire it up to get a strike 3? Great. You do it once every hitter, possibly, if you can. But don't do it every pitch, because that's going to end up hurting them in the long run. But that's just my thoughts.
Christian, what's your thoughts on this?
What about the whole Tommy John thing?
Yeah, about, like, what is it? Is it these kids throwing ridiculously quick? Is it the pitch clock? Is it mechanics at the young age? Like,
I mean, you could say it's a mix of everything all together. Pace yourself. Why do you think guys like Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux were able to pitch at an advanced age? Because they weren't throwing too hard. They were just working on placing the ball in the strike zone. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but
no, you're not wrong at all.
Why do you think CC was able to pitch well into his late 30s?
Bartolo Colon.
Yeah, Big Sexy. Well, man, when you got a nickname Big Sexy, you can do anything. Like CC, I remember saying a couple of years before he retired that he was working with Andy Pettit. That's another one. And I don't know what it is, but it's something about a lefty. Like Glavine was a lefty, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, Glavine was a lefty. CC was a lefty. Andy Pettit was a lefty. I don't know. Like lefties just always seem to be in control of the game when they're on the mound. Yeah, I mean, in 2017, at one point, CC was 7-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing that hard. He was just working on placement and movement. Yeah. When you get older, you're not throwing that hard. But the hardest he could throw was probably 89. And he was still firing the ball into the strike zone. So yeah, it's not all about throwing the ball and trying to get it into the strike zone. It's just all about making the guy miss, I feel.
Yep.
No, you're right. I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. The fact that there are no finesse pitchers in baseball anymore really.
No.
The
only one that I think may be a finesse pitcher, because he doesn't even really throw that hard, is Nestor Cortez.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nestor's a finesse guy.
Yeah, he's a finesse guy.
Kirby.
Who?
The kid out of Texas.
Kirby Yates?
Not Yates. Oh god damn it, Glenn. It was not Glenn Kirby. It was
But 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 I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But the fact that pitching coaches, parents, traveling baseball are teaching kids throw as hard as you can. They'll never be able to catch up to it. They're
Yeah,
teaching.
and
They're go ahead. Go ahead.
honestly, I honestly think that's the reason why Carlos Rodon has kind of bounced back because yeah, he's not throwing as hard now as he was.
But the fact that these kids are not being taught, sitting them down, and even though I was never really a big fan of his, but you can't argue with results. Look at the Greg Maddoxes, like you've said, the Greg Maddoxes, the Tom Glavins, the Gaylord Perrys, the Raleigh Fingers. These guys painted the corners with change-up sliders, curveballs, and stuff like that. That made a hitter, have to adjust himself. When you got pure heat coming at you, like Nolan Ryan was a friggin' anomaly.
so was Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan were friggin' anomaly. They threw it hard, and you weren't catching up to it no matter how
But
good a
also,
hitter you
but
were.
also Randy Johnson was almost 7 foot.
I remember
Sure.
when I saw him pitch up
It's like
close.
it's like Zach Eady throwing a fucking fastball. It's like what the
I literally remember when I saw him pitch up close. Randy Johnson.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw him in 2006 with the Yankees. And he almost threw a no hitter. Actually, like he took a no hitter into the bottom of the seventh inning.
Right.
So he threw a no hitter for 6 2/3, and man, this is I don't want to say it was peak Yankees necessarily, but Jeter was a little older. Jeter was around my age. Young Robinson, Cano, A-Rod, Posada, like the core four was still there, and I think Bernie was still there as well. And once he gave up the hit, they were playing the White Sox. Once he gave up that hit, he gave up a home run. Then Torrey, that's how long ago this was.
Yeah.
Torrey just decided to take him out the game. Torrey went to the bullpen, and it was just simple. Look, bullpen, don't F this up. Let's just get the ball to Mariano. Mariano closed the door.
By the way,
Right.
I was wrong. It was in Texas. It was Seattle Mariners. George Kirby.
Yeah.
George Kirby. Okay, yeah, I remember the name. But the whole thing is like their parents, coaches right now are teaching kids the wrong way to pitch, in my opinion. Because I saw pictures. I've seen a few high school games here and there through my girlfriend's school and stuff like that, and I hear the coaches saying, "Throw it high and hard; they'll never catch up to it." That's what they're telling these kids. Throw it high and hard, which is meaning throw a fastball high up to the letters above, just at the top of the strike zone. They'll never catch up to it.
Yeah, up and in.
Up and in. When they should be saying low, outside, curveball, because 90% of the hitters are going to expect what? They're going to expect the heat, and they're going to be looking for the heat, and they're going to prepare themselves for the heat. And if they're preparing for the heat and you throw an 85 mile an hour changeup, they're gonna 9 out of 10 out of them are gonna swing and miss. And that's the way I think coaches, like if I had a kid who was playing baseball, I wouldn't teach him to throw hard. I'd teach him to be a finesse guy.
Yeah, because look, when I was playing football, I remember the first year I played, and even before stepping on the field, I was always throwing the ball with my friends in the neighborhood, right? And they used to love the way I threw the ball because it was a tight spiral and everything. But spirals don't really mean much of anything. It's can you get the ball to your receiver, right?
Right.
It's all about ball placement, or as I like to say, throwing your receiver open, which I'll explain in a minute. And when you're a quarterback, you got to get rid of the ball quickly, man. Like you can't hold on to it too long, or else you're gonna get sacked. Or my personal favorite, you're gonna get benched. So when I tried out, I had a habit of, unfortunately, um, holding on to the ball too long, and it was it was defeating a little bit. But unfortunately, I played in an era where I played dad ball. Ronnie knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I don't know what that ball is. So
Dad ball is when certain players on your football team, um, their dads are coaching. So they're gonna get special treatment. Oh, my son's gonna play quarterback. He may suck, but my son's gonna play quarterback. That's what dad ball is. Um, and then that's when I became an offensive lineman, and then I fell in love with the defensive side of the football as well. But yeah, man, it's not all about throwing the prettiest ball. Can it get to your intended receiver? Is the most important thing. Like, one guy who had to change it up, literally, John,
Mhm.
is a guy who is now one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Because when he got to Denver, he lost arm strength. So as a defender, when he was in Denver, you were okay with playing his receivers off in zone coverage, right? Like, you weren't gonna do that when he was in Indianapolis, and then on top of that, he had the luxury of throwing in a dome.
Right.
Peyton threw a lot of clunkers and a lot of wobblers. Ronnie, you remember that when he was in Denver?
Yeah, because it was noodle arm.
Yeah, he threw a lot of clunkers. Like, he couldn't throw it as tight down the field as he once did, even past his prime.
I mean, let's face it. The defense carried him to that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
He kept
yeah,
them.
definitely.
He kept them in the. He kept them.
He just had to manage the game.
Exactly. It was not that the offense had. The offense was there not to lose him the game.
Bingo, bingo. Because how many times throughout Peyton's career was it the other way around?
Yep. Yeah. No. The first Super Bowl they won. He won. That.
Yeah.
No defense.
Right. But you have guys like Brady, and I even remember saying that these last couple years he was in Tampa Bay, he seemed to throw the ball better as he got older.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, because he's also a freak. He was also a freak of nature that, I mean, kept his body in shape.
Yeah, he was.
Sounds like anyone that was talking about LeBron to MJ. Oh, Jesus Christ. That shit was making me laugh. But, alright. That's really it for baseball news. Unless there's something you guys want to talk about with baseball.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Can move on. Move on to some basketball real quick. Christian, the congratulations has to go out to South Carolina women beating Iowa to get the national title.
I tried to tell you.
Would you like to guess what the rating was for this game?
Like 18 million?
A little more, 19.5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I watched that game.
Yeah, so did I. Like, watch that before WrestleMania came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it, but I know I heard things about it, but I didn't watch a single thing about
Yeah.
it. So
Caitlin Clark won the Wooden Award, which is the Player of the Year. There's one thing that was said that made me laugh that's been going on Twitter. So the South Carolina coach Staley has come out and in her press conference, started talking about transgender athletes playing with women. Which, whatever. It's been known to death on what this is, but the woman that the Kentucky swimmer, I'm trying to think of her name, Riley Gaines, put out a tweet about this, calling it ridiculous and kind of like what? Why the hell are you doing this? Why are you saying stuff like this? This makes no sense. You're trying to set women's sports back God knows how long. Which then someone decided to tweet at her, how many national titles do you have? And just to gloat, she holds up a hand with all 5 rings that she has for swimming and national titles going, I have about 5. How many do you got? And it's just, I don't get it. Why? It's because I understand why people are doing it, because it's going to cause obviously attention. But yet when NCAA put a transgender division or an open division in swimming, they had to cancel it because no one signed up.
Okay.
So, but that just screams that it makes no sense. Like, okay, you want to do this, but then why? That's like them saying Caitlin Clark go play with the Detroit Pistons. Hell, she might be one of the best players on the team, but it wouldn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Caitlin Clark, yeah, go guard Draymond Green. Eesh. Not gonna happen. It turns into 5 on 4. Because I'm sorry, as good as she is, oh yeah, go guard Steph Curry. Yeah, not happening. Yep. The other thing is congratulations to Stanford's ex-coach Vanderveer is retiring after 38 seasons. She is the all-time winningest coach in NCAA history.
Yeah, and I think she's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, hands down. I don't know if she's
No,
in
I think
yet.
she's already in. Is what I'm saying.
Is she in? I don't know, but
Hey, I'm about to look it up.
I mean, she's first ballot. Hold the door open, let her right in. Either
And who
way,
is this now?
the women's coach for Stanford, she holds the record for 1,216 victories in her entire career.
Yeah, she
No,
went
what's her name? That's what I'm saying.
Tara Vanderveer.
Okay, I have heard. Believe it or not, as much as I don't follow that, I've actually heard that name.
Yeah, she went in 2011.
The let's put it this way: the 3 most famous coaches in women's sports is her, Gino, and Pat Summitt.
Man, you better put some respect on Dawn Staley's name.
Oh, that's true, Dawn Staley. But is she at the
You had
level?
a little bass in your voice saying
Well,
that, Chris.
wait, but I'm saying though is to the casual fans, are they going to know who that is?
If you follow the game, you will.
But if you follow the game, you're going to know a lot of things that the casual fans don't. The casual fans know those 3 coaches. Just like the casual basketball player knows who Coach K is.
Mm-hmm.
And knows who
I mean,
Rick
hell,
Pitino.
the casual fan's gonna know who Bobby Knight is too.
Right, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is.
I remember when I met him.
Who, Bobby Knight?
Yeah.
That motherfucker was intense. I remember. You guys don't remember. You may or may not remember. I remember him in his earliest days.
I went to the Final Four in 2010, and I met most of the game day guys: Billis, Hubert Davis, Digger Phelps, and Bob Knight was on set with him, yeah, he was a dick.
But you know what? He might have been a dick, but you can't argue with the success he produced.
Nah, you can't. I mean, without him, we don't know Isaiah Thomas, and we don't know Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
The guy, it's like you can't sit here and tell me that some of these players wouldn't be where they are if it weren't for somebody like a Bobby Knight. What's that guy? Jimmy V or Jimmy V, I think.
Yeah, Jimmy V.
Jimmy V.
I mean, we have a foundation. They have a foundation meant for him. Like that's the.
And and this is from a guy who's not a college basketball guy. It's like you got the Rick Pitino's, where's the guy
He's another asshole.
But again, asshole, yes, but you can't argue with the success. What was that guy? He coached the Knicks 1 year, and then Calipari.
Yep.
John
He's
Calipari.
another. I can't stand.
I agree with that one.
But I know, regardless of how you feel about them personally, you can't argue with the success they had. That's what I'm trying to say.
Now I got one. I'll say one name.
As much as I hate that bitch, Sasha, you know who? I can't argue with her accomplishments.
No, Christian.
I hate her. I hate her guts.
Now, Christian, I'm going to say one coach that on the East Coast we know who she is as a basketball coach. To everyone else, if they know her, it is for a completely different reason. How many casual fans do you think, for basketball reasons, know who Vivian Stringer is?
Right.
Hell,
I even know that name. I can't remember from what, but I remember hearing that
I
name.
will say, and I quote, a Don Imus quote.
Oh, is this a nappy-headed hose
Ding,
thing?
ding, ding.
Okay. That's what cost Don Imus' career.
Yep. But I'm saying to the casual fan, is anyone going to know who she is? For basketball. For basketball.
Probably not, but they're going to only know her from the instance from the whole Imus thing.
Exactly. And
that's disrespectful as fuck what he said. And fuck Don Imus. Let him rot in his fucking grave.
Listen. That's a whole different.
Wouldn't say that. Yeah, because he wouldn't say that shit about no white girl.
That is a whole different argument. The fact that he said that live on radio on the airwaves is a whole different reason. And not gonna lie, kind of glad he did to get him the fuck off of the fan.
But, it's like it was a disrespectful piece of shit, and he got what he deserved for that, even though he came out and apologized. I'm sorry, apologizing for that. You can't apologize once that hit the airwaves. You can't take something like that back.
But what I'm getting at, though, is, you see, you're saying this as is. You know that name, but not for her basketball coaching.
No.
You know that name.
I only know her for one thing.
Right. But to me and Christian, we followed, as much as we don't, at that time, probably didn't follow the game the way we should have, we still followed the game. We knew who she was and how good Rutgers was then. And then, that's what I'm saying. But to a normal casual fan, they're going to know her for that, not for how good of a coach she was.
Right.
And that's what I'm getting at. You go to, and it's the same that goes with the men. The casual fan is not going to know who a freaking, oh God, I can't even freaking think of a random fucking team. They're not going to know who the coach of St. Peter's is. That's now at Seton Hall. You're not going to know who. They're not going to know who the hell the coach of Loyola State College Chicago is. They're not going to know that. They're going to know the stories from, say, the tournaments, but they're not going to know the coaches. They're not going to know the players.
Right.
They're going to know the players when they go to the NBA. If they do. but it's like that's what I'm saying. Staley, like, as much as the diehard basketball fans will know who she is, the casuals won't. And South Carolina's been fucking amazing. What was it, like 103 wins to 3 losses in the course of 4 years?
Yeah, she's the best coach in women's college basketball.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, yeah. And it hasn't gotten attention as much as it did. Unfortunately, I hate to say it this way, until, people started paying attention to Caitlin Clark. Then it started bringing eyes to the whole game.
You're not wrong. But it's unfortunate that some people are going to be known for one thing because of something derogatory.
Yeah. Hey, Christian,
I mean...
sorry, John. Go ahead, finish.
No, I mean, it's just... I mean, it's just disgraceful. I mean, some of these, like, I can name a bunch of baseball guys that went down. I mean, I can mention one name, you'll know exactly what he was famous for, even though his career was not that great. He's going to be known for one thing. Armando Galarraga.
Yeah.
I say that name, what instantly comes to your mind? Both of you.
He was an asshole.
Yeah.
No, Armando Galarraga was that Detroit pitcher that threw the no-hitter when Jim Joyce fucked up the call at first base.
I was thinking about Andres Galarraga.
No, Armando Galarraga was the Detroit pitcher.
That, but you know what stood out to me about that whole situation? That umpire the next game. He brought the lineup card out and just like consoled him. Like, he didn't bash him. He handled it with class.
I know, but still, it's unfortunate that Armando Galarraga's career was